No. I'm Marc Jaccard. I'm a professor of sustainable energy at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver. My name is Marc Jaccard. I'm a professor of sustainable energy at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver. Canada can't develop the oil sands and still achieve its climate targets. I don't see how that's at all possible. And the reason is that the targets that we have involve dramatic reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, especially CO2 from burning fossil fuels, oil, coal, and natural gas. And this is what the scientists are telling us. It's what all the politicians have agreed to. It takes quite a long time for us to get emissions to go down to change the energy system. And if you make investments in a new pipeline, a new facility to expand tar sands, or even a coal plant to generate electricity, as another example of using fossil fuels, what you've done is you've committed yourself to decades of that particular investment as you try to pay it off. And when we do the math of thinking about how to get emissions down, it's completely inconsistent to be investing in fossil fuel expansion and expect to hit these targets. Stephen Harper has committed Canada to our emissions going down by 17% in the next 8 years by 2020, and by 65% by 2050. This is a huge reduction. This is Stephen Harper made that promise, and he made that promise because he's basically agreeing with the scientists who tell us that emissions have to go down dramatically in order for the temperature on the planet not to rise by dangerous levels. And so if you develop the tar sands, if you make new investments in pipelines, in expanded extraction of oil from the tar sands, you're committing yourself to decades of investments before those investments are paid off. And so you're going to keep pumping out the oil, you're going to keep putting carbon into the atmosphere, you're not going to hit your target. We're going to use oil for some time to come as gasoline and diesel in our vehicles. But it's amazing how long everything takes to change, even if you start hard and fast right now. So if we right now are trying to change our transportation system, our cars and our trucks, towards low emission types of technologies, and that's using biofuels or electricity or maybe hydrogen sometime, it actually takes decades for that to happen. But while that's happening, the global demand for oil will peak and start to fall, and it has to happen very quickly. So that's why, thinking back to the tar sands, the global demand for oil has to start declining, and we have to take actions to make that happen. Instead of developing oil sands, we need to be moving rapidly to a transportation system that no longer uses gasoline and diesel. And so Canada, a country of about 35 million people, needs to follow the policies of California, a state of about 35 million people, who have put in aggressive vehicle emission standards in order to start transitioning their vehicles away from the use of gasoline and diesel over the next decades. But if you don't put those policies in right away, if they're not here now, and they're not in Canada, then that change over the next decades won't occur. And so we'll still be putting greenhouse gases, CO2 into the atmosphere, and we will be part of the problem, not the solution. I want you to ask me. Of course, we want to create jobs for people today and to have a growing economy for our children. But what's the good of that economy if it is basically self-destructing, because it's destroying the basis, the environmental basis on which humans exist on this planet? It's that you cannot continue to expand the use, the extraction of coal, oil, and natural gas from the Earth's crust here in Canada and hit the climate targets that the scientists tell us that we need to do.